What you're saying is YouTube is not inaccurately trying to diagnose me with autism.
It's very possible they are. This is a very autistic thing.
Dobby has autism, sir.
All right, we're back. I am the host who should not be on... I just don't have a face for camera. I hate being on camera.
Well, it doesn't help that you're melting.
I'm melting right now. And I thought the hoodie was a good idea, but I'm like, well...
He's like, let me mix it up from the last recording. I'll put on a hoodie.
We're melting. We're with one of my favorite people. She's a comic. She's our kickball captain. She's a writer. She's a podcast host. The one and only Jessica Michelle Singleton.
Yay! Oh my God, thank you for having me.
Thank you for doing this. So Jessica, we'll get into the background, but let's do the reveals. I think I'm going to be able to finish it today. I think we're finishing the Rolling Stones logo. I have about
the whole thing.
3 bags left. If I can't finish it today, definitely on the next episode, but I think we're getting pretty close. And let's do the reveal. You're a Harry Potter fan.
I am a Harry Potter fan. Oh my God, it's Dobby. Dobby! Master gave Dobby a sock, sir. Oh my God, I love Dobby. I'm doing Dobby. I am Dobby. We have the same eyes.
Oh boy.
Feels anti-Semitic.
Okay.
This is great.
So here we go.
Okay, so I'm building Dobby.
We're gonna see what we can do in 30 minutes.
Dude, this is hardcore.
I don't fuck around.
This is deranged.
Yeah, no, this is no joke.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long have you been a Lego?
2014.
Man.
So I had my surgery. For most people that watch this, all 3 of you,
Mom?
probably know this from the first season, but I had a surgery like over 3 months, and they gave me Dilaudid for the pain because they cut through my entire stomach. I had that like ostomy bag of shit, whatever.
Fun.
Yeah, good times.
Cute.
Yeah, great for dating. And they gave me Dilaudid, and I started hallucinating on the couch. I was talking to people on the train. It was bizarre. My mom was like, so I was like, I need to get off this stuff. And I need something to get my mind off the pain. So they had this like Lego movie theater, and I built it, and I was like, oh, it completely erased the pain because I'm looking for these tiny little fucking pieces. Yeah, you're looking
That makes sense. It's like why people like puzzles.
Yeah, and it clears my brain. So once I realized what it could do for the pain aspect, I'm like, oh, also when I just need to clear my brain,
yeah, like
I can just buy a Lego set and just think about nothing.
And build a fun little, man, I don't even know how this starts. Okay.
So Jess and I would say Jess is one of my, when I moved out here, Jess is probably the first comic I became friends with. It was probably you and Sarah Tiana.
Yay!
And yeah, we've just been friends. We play kickball together. So I want to kind of figure out how long have you been out here?
Oh God.
Oh really? It's been that long?
Yeah, it's been almost, in July it'll be 13 years.
Oh wow.
13 years I've been in Los Angeles, chasing the dream.
And where did you start, and what finally brought you here?
I technically started stand-up in Tampa, Florida. I went to college at University of South Florida, which is in Tampa, which says all you need to know about the caliber of students. Is that they're like, this isn't even South Florida, you just stay here. Damn, this is so hard. How do you talk through this? I'm too competitive. Yeah. I spent all of college being like, well, you got to go to college, but my real plan is to be a comedian. Just sort of like, this is my backup plan. And I don't know now looking back why I thought like, you can't not go to college when literally no one else in my family went to college. But I think it was like, well, I didn't want to end up like everyone in my family. I have to go to college. And then I kept saying like, I'm going to be a comedian. I want to be on SNL. That's what I started as. Like, I wanted to do characters and sketches on SNL. And I would do them. I was in a sorority. Sorry.
Oh my God, which one?
Shout out Chi Omega. Chi Omega. Chi Omega. Whatever. They were cool. And so there were different sorority events where you'd have to do like variety shows and stuff. So I was always writing the variety shows, and I would just do characters. Which now with like TikTok and Instagram, people like that doesn't seem that weird. To be like, yeah, I would just like do characters for fun. And people, now would be like on Instagram, but I was like, no, just like in life with my friends, I would just be a character.
Yeah.
And they thought it was funny, so I'd keep doing it. But just being like, oh, I'm gonna do comedy. And it wasn't until the last semester of my senior year, I was like, I guess I should figure out how the fuck you do comedy. And I went to an open mic, and then the first laugh I got, I was like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
This is the thing I am supposed to be doing. So I literally graduated college, worked 3 jobs for the next year, just saving up money, and hit the ground running and came out here. So there wasn't even like and even though it's working out, I still am like, I see why people say, I could have like stayed in Tampa and developed a little bit more, but I was just like, well, what am I waiting for? And so I just fucking came, and now I'm here, and I've been here, and it's going all right.
I think it's going pretty well.
It's going pretty good.
So you didn't take a comedy class or anything, right?
You know what I did when I got out here, and it was less to, and not that that's like an ego thing to even try to explain myself. So who cares? Because there's room for comedy classes. Like,
no, I think I took a comedy class.
I know some people are weird about them, and they think like, oh, you took a comedy class. It's like, oh, what in what other field would you be like? You got an education? But
yeah, for me, it's about what you're getting out of it. I had never been on a stage before. I don't have anybody in the industry. I didn't know about open mics. The only downside to comedy classes is they introduce you to the world of bringer shows.
Yeah, which is a real slippery shithole.
Yeah, I mean, with the right people, it's great if the right person's running it and they genuinely
just like you.
And they're in talent development versus making like this is their source of income.
Source of income, man, it is. I cannot stand almost the entire personality of most people who make their income off of shows like that.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you? They're stressful to be around. They also, it's like, maybe just book good comics. And I'm like, the fucking bring 10 people or you can't get up. And it's like, you're not paying any of these people.
Yeah, but if you bring 30 people, we'll give you a free tape. Okay, you know what? I'll just plop my camera up back there.
God. I mean, man, has that gone down, I think, in the last few years. They're like paying for recordings. It's like, no, I'm not going to pay you.
I'm just going to bring my own
I'm just going to film.
Yeah.
And then fuck you. I did Pretty Funny Women, and it's because when I moved out here, I got a manager, which I had no business getting, and also he wasn't a good manager. So,
but that's also amazing that you were able to just pull a manager. I think that's a good thing for somebody who doesn't know if they have what it takes, and there's that one person who's at least willing to take that shot on you to give you that initial boost of confidence. Like,
yes.
Oh, he sees something.
And he's in the industry. And at the time, the guy who signed me was working at Shapiro West, which is George Shapiro's company. So like Seinfeld's manager was like, this is a big deal. And then he very shortly after was like, hey, I'm going independent, which can mean one of two things. Sometimes someone's just got enough clients that are making money that they're like, I want all the money for myself. And then sometimes you're like, oh, I think maybe you're like holding on by a thread. But which is fine. But the shitty part about that, and just I guess a cautionary tale for anyone who tries to get into it, is like if you stay with someone like that for a little too long, it's like you're missing. I don't know. Whatever. I turned out fine. But
yeah, I think that
it can bite you in the ass because you're
of
like,
course.
Other managers are like, well, you have a manager, so I can't even talk to you. But
that also probably kept some bad people out of your life too.
That's true. That's a great way to put it. You're right.
I am right.
He told me, so this is how great of a manager he was. He's like, well, there's those Pretty Funny Women shows that book women. Why don't you get on those? And I was like, okay. So I reached out to the woman, Lisa Sunstedt, and she's like, oh yeah, everyone on those shows is a student. Like I've never, even the people, they're not current, they're either former students or current students. I only book my students. So if you want to be on the shows, gotta take a class. And I was like, okay, I'll take your class to do your show, which is like, that alone is like worse than a bringer show. But it ended up being good. But being like, I'll pay you a bunch of money just so I can have a spot. But it was great. I got some new material out of it that I wouldn't have gotten. And because it was just sort of the exercises she does, made me think about stuff that I'm like, oh, actually, that's great. And she forces you to be clean, which forced me to be clean, which
went well.
Yeah, which I can do very well. And it's a annoying.
Which is it's a good skill to have as a comic, because some of the highest paying gigs are clean corporate gigs.
But I'm so regularly, or have been so regularly, dirty that like a lot of people are shocked when they find out I can work clean at this point. And I'm like, yeah, no, at this point you just have to pay me the amount of money that it's going to cost you to work clean.
Yeah.
And I remember coming up when I was just like, a couple years in, open micing and doing shows and starting to get a little momentum, multiple people being like, you're smart enough to write clean material. I would get that all the time. You're smart enough to write clean material. It pays more.
Is that like insulting?
To me, it's like, it should be, but I like, my whole thought was like, because like it pays more and so you should write it. And I'm like, I'm also smart enough to be in a science field, but I'm a clown for a living. Like, sorry, if I wanted to follow some sort of corporate bullshit rules, you think I'm going to be chasing my dreams? And there's, probably times of self-sabotage with that attitude, but what can you do? But I did that class. It was fun. I got a great first tape out of it. At the time I look back at it now and I shudder. And I made some friends that are like still around and still doing spots. And that was nice because I moved here not knowing anyone and not knowing what the fuck I was doing. So that was kind of a nice, like, organic way to meet other women.
And that's such, like, I don't think people really realize the seriousness of having good people, like meeting good people in this industry.
It's
like the having friends part is so fucking important.
It's so important, and it can be so hard when you're like, I wanted to say like when you're new, but also like if you're not careful anytime. Like it's because some people it's very hard to read who's authentic and who is nice to you because you have something going on.
Oh, I'm prepared. I'm like already prepping. Like I have a list in my phone, no joke, of people I told you this, people I'm probably never
never hear from you again.
I'll probably never hear from again once I leave my job here. And I'm okay. Like I look at the list and I'm like, I'm okay with this. It's nobody that I thought.
Yeah, none of that. Like it's not going to devastate you.
No, it's gonna. I think when it happens, it's gonna sort of be like, I did a lot for this person, and I kind of knew that's why they were talking to me. It's gonna validate a lot for me.
Yeah, that you'll be like, okay, I thought this person was that, and this is just confirming it.
And it's also gonna be like, and I look at the list and I'm like, these are people I didn't really see as
long-term, close friends anyway.
I hate to say assets, but like anything I do moving forward,
like you wouldn't have worked with
these
them
aren't
anyway.
people I would have called up to be part of projects.
Yeah, you're like
so that's a big part of it for me.
Which I mean, that's telling in and of itself of that type of personality.
And it does suck because you want to believe you built relationships, but like I know how the industry goes.
Oh yeah, and it's like, man, people will treat you so different depending on what you have going on.
I'm also so excited to not be the fucking podcast guy.
Yeah, I mean,
like
do you just get like
oh my god,
harassed on the daily?
I'll hang out with girls and like girls that I like or girls that I'm at least somewhat interested in, and it just ends with a podcast pitch, and I'm like, fuck me.
God, yeah. Well, you got to stop hanging around comedian types.
That's the problem. I like.
You need a firm line on not dating.
Here's the problem: when you walk outside in LA and you throw a rock, you're hitting someone who does stand up.
Yeah, or someone who's trying to do something. Yeah.
Well, but I want that. I need to date a creative person. I like the idea of bouncing ideas off. Like you're dealing with your boyfriend, someone in the industry.
It's great having someone to like. I can run ideas off of him and not feel like, oh, actually, I hate your feedback. Or like having someone who gives you feedback, they're like, oh, that's actually helpful. Versus
versus a yes man or somebody who's jealous and is going to say everything you do is garbage.
Or just someone who like really wants to help and has terrible advice.
Yes.
That they're like, I've got an idea. And you're like, I couldn't want to hear something.
What's the worst advice you've ever been given? Do you have anything that pops into mind?
It wasn't like a big piece of advice, but I remember here's a thing that I stopped doing kind of early on, maybe in my first 2 years of comedy, is getting together to write with people. Okay. Because people be like, we should get together and write. And then what would happen is, oh, we got together and I wrote you jokes.
Oh.
And you had nothing. You had no feedback except for like, yeah, that's good. And that sounds arrogant, but it's like other open micers, and that's just, maybe who I ended up rolling with. Yeah. And I still think, with the right people, it could be an asset to do like one-on-one writing, things like that. But that's just
I would never do that in terms of jokes, but like I love co-writing projects with like scripted projects with people.
Oh yeah, same.
But no one's reliable out here. The amount of people that just flake or to find that person who's going to actually show up.
Yeah, and then like be able to prioritize it, because that's hard too when it's like at the beginning stages trying to prioritize things where it's like, okay, it's not my source of income, which is how it goes. But like, depending on where you're at financially, if you're like, but I can't say no to other shit. So that keeps popping up in the way.
Yeah. But the other thing is, I'm finding that if it's not someone's idea, they're less invested in it.
That's true.
And that's something that I have to get better at. I have to get better at saying, I like working with this person. Let's develop something together versus I have this idea. I've already written out an outline or a spec or this or that. Let's work on it together, because you're just not going to get the same amount of commitment from someone who's not as invested in your idea.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I have to figure out here. That's been my biggest struggle with like writing with people. It's been people just not showing up or whatever. And
it's almost like you want to come up with an idea with a person.
Yeah.
And can be challenging in itself.
So you get to LA, you start doing
I start doing open mics. I did Pretty Funny Women. I just sort of like hit the ground running. I pretty quickly got a full-time day job working at a nonprofit school for blind and visually impaired children because I am a saint.
I mean, it sounds like it. That's very saint-like.
I was doing the PR.
Okay.
So I made all of their money.
Basically.
Yeah, and I just went like full bore workaholic, like 3 mics a night after every night, running around town.
What was the point when you said, "Oh, I don't need to do, like, this is my career now. I don't need to do I don't need a day job." And you, like, the thing that I love about you, just to call this out, you are always doing something, and it's very much like me. You always have an idea. You always have something you're throwing out. Like, it's a blessing.
It's a gift and a curse. Yeah.
Because you can never commit to anything 100%.
No.
But you have ideas, and it just comes down to the same thing I deal with, it prioritizing everything,
which I struggle with so much.
Yeah.
And I wish I didn't, because it's like, man, if I could just fucking focus on one thing and get it done, I would have so many more things going on instead of 8 million things almost going on.
That's where I'm at right now. It's like I'm kind of excited to leave here, because that's going to be the only thing I'm doing, which is focusing on my personal stuff that has just been pushed to the side for the 2 years I've been here, and also just difficult for me to prioritize with all the other stuff I have to do.
Oh yeah, it's so hard. It's also like, if you have a creative brain, you'll get like really excited about something in the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know how I am. It's like, if I'm excited about it right now, I should lean into it.
Yep.
But then that happens when I'm supposed to be leaning into something else and whatever. And it all works itself out, hopefully.
Yeah, and then this other idea comes and you're like, all right, well, I'm going to focus on this because I have the ideas now, and I'm sort of having writing block on this one, so I'm going to just focus on this one, and then you never go back to that first one.
Yeah, and then 2 years later, you're like, I had an idea about this.
Yeah,
I have a thing.
It's fucking crazy. So when did you realize, okay, this day job thing is not necessary anymore because I'm doing fairly well at stand-up? Like, you just came back from a tour.
It's sort of, the decision happened organically for me. I was it was early 2013, and my day job, I was getting into all these comedy festivals. And so I was using all my vacation and pay time off and whatever to get to those. And didn't know at the time, there's a lot of festivals you can say no to because they're not going to help you at all. But I was just like, this is so cool. People like me. It was my first, moment of like, oh, I can do this for real. By the end, I got into 13 festivals that year. And a lot of them were like the really good festivals you want to get into. And some of them were just like, we have a festival here. I think toward the end of the year was like, okay, I can't go to the Cleveland Comedy Festival because I have no more money.
That's fucking Cleveland.
Yeah. And I was like, finally knew enough people who live in other cities who were further along than me from doing other festivals to go, hey, I got into this, but what do you think? And got some advice. But like, I'll just say, I did a festival in Europe I said that, but they paid me, and they apologized that they couldn't pay me more and flew me out and put me in a hotel.
Isn't that a good feeling?
Yes, but also it really gave me perspective to how much American festivals are fucking comedians. Like, you're fucking me that you're charging for tickets and you're not even getting comedians a room. Like, you can't get a hotel deal and cover that part. You want them to fly out here and put themselves up, a lot of times in an expensive city. And the thing is, it's like, and some some as you get further along, or some of the bigger festivals, that's not a problem. But these little ones, and some of them have heat. Like at the time, like Laughing Skull was a really big festival.
Laughing Skull was huge when I was in New York.
Yeah, and I got into that in 2013. And I was like, oh my God, I'm doing Laughing Skull. And, and I did it. But it's like, they have all these industry people coming, which is what makes it huge. But it's like, sorry, Michael Cox isn't doing that for free.
Yeah.
Michael Cox isn't coming to Atlanta for a week to watch baby comedians who are going to harass him for the rest of his life for free. I doubt it. Love you, Michael. Please don't come for me.
Fahim made this point that kind of like made me realize what the situation was. The fact that Montreal is still a thing is crazy. It's crazy.
Like, what are they doing?
No offense if you're doing it. And I don't think it's bad that people are doing it. But the fact that it's still a thing, people have to go to another country to see all the LA comics that are here every single night.
Yeah, it's like, it's great if you're doing it. It's a great opportunity to be seen by these people. But it's also like, get out of your fucking office. You're a comedy agent and you have to fly to Canada to know who's here. Like, what are you doing? And then they just started in the last couple of years. They used to not, the unrepped, they wouldn't get the motels, they didn't fly them. And then a bigger comedian did a whole, did a very low-key protest.
An expose? Oh,
well, no, they were just like, we're not going to do the festival. He got a bunch of comics to sign it unless you pay for their travel. Which was really nice of that person.
The people in Montreal don't have to fucking go anywhere. It's costing them nothing. They're using home clubs.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, I've heard, I have friends that, I'm at a level now where I have friends that are, getting asked to do their own shows. And then, there's some that when they tell me the initial offer of what they're, trying to pay them, I'm like, are they out of their fucking mind? Dude, you're the show.
Yeah.
How many people are in that venue? How many shows do they want you to do? Get fucked. I mean, if you're getting paid to go there, or if your travel's getting covered, good for you. Or if you're very good at schmoozing and you're like, that's okay, I'm gonna meet people.
I'm gonna make the best of it. Yeah.
That's good. But if you're hoping that someone's gonna see your comedy and anything is gonna change, which by the way barely happens at Montreal now, it's like, no, no one got discovered there. Everyone was already on the rise.
Yeah.
I mean, when people are comics to watch and you're like, that person has a sitcom. What are we doing? We should watch out for this person with 1 million followers. Oh, good to know that this person's a thing. I didn't know about them. It's just
new faces. They've been doing comedy for 15 years and they're 40.
Yeah, it's like, that's not a new face.
Yeah.
Just call it what it is. Comedians who are finally ready to be here, or
comedians happy to be there.
Yeah. Call it what it really is. Comedians whose agent represent a bigger comedian that we wanted for the theater.
Yes. That's actually perfectly how it's put.
Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
So.
Oh yeah, so it was that year. I ran out of fucking time off.
Okay.
But also my job, it's a nonprofit, so they just only had so much budget shit going on, and I lost my job. But it was like a blessing.
Got it. It was one of those okay, now it's forcing me to make.
Yeah. I think I packed at my desk and sobbed in my car for half an hour because I've never been fired from anything. I'm a perfectionist. I'm a workaholic. And I was like, that part stung because I don't feel, but they were just like, it's just, one of those things. And my boss was even the head of my department was like, listen, you don't want to be here. She's like,
that's always a good sign.
She's like, you're going to get unemployment. You're going to go do comedy. You're going to be fine. And I was like, all right, okay, bye. I've already fucked up this arm somehow. How? Okay, wait a second. This ball joint situation. Is there an underarm? Is that what I'm missing? So here's my dilemma.
You got to push it in real tight.
I know, but wait. Yeah, said that before. This arm feels like it's also this arm.
Let me look.
This is an error. This is a fuck up.
Let me see. No, I think you just put it on the wrong side of the...
Oh yeah, because those are interchangeable. Look at that. I did this to myself.
You've been doing stand-up. You just went on tour. You went with Audrey Stewart.
Oh, I took Audrey Stewart. Yeah, she's incredible. We did all over the East Coast and kind of Eastern U.S. It was awesome. It was the first time in a few years I've done a driving tour. Yeah. Because I'm at a point now where most of the clubs that book me, I'll do a weekend, they fly me out. And, you know,
Do you like being on the road? That was my one thing. Like, I was like, if I ever make it as a comic, I would hate doing the road.
I love the road, and I think I love it so much that it maybe was a detriment at some point because I was gone a lot.
Okay.
Where, like, I probably could have been around more, and things would have gone a little faster in LA stuff, you know? Now it's, like, kind of exhausting, the travel.
We're old.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
But I do love it.
Okay, so that's good. That's something that if you can still say you love it, you have options. It's once you start hating the road and you just like become that LA comic who doesn't leave.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you didn't do New York, but you did some.
I've been to New
East
York
Coast.
a little bit. Oh, I didn't do New York this time.
No,
yeah.
I'm just. It still surprises me how many comics when I came to the store, how many comics I did not know. Like, never heard of.
Yeah.
Almost all.
It's
I
like
would
its
say
own,
everybody except 5.
It's its own community. And
Well,
even
not
like
even the store, just LA comics in general. There's just like everybody does the middle of the road, so they know each other. But if you're just if you just either do New York or LA, you're not hearing about anybody from the other coast. It is bizarre to me.
It's crazy because there's people who like, I mean, and you saw this when you first came here. There were people who are like legends.
Yeah.
Store legends. That's all like they end up doing. And I also don't want to be that.
Well,
I love this store, but I don't want to ever be like this store legend.
Yeah.
Oh, she was crazy. She'd go up. Oh, we loved her. Anyway, she killed herself. But she could have been somebody if she wasn't so not somebody.
She could have been a contender. That's something. Who was I just talking to about it? Was it on the last? No, I was talking to somebody about it. Maybe it was Katie. Like, the one thing I would hate for a comic to do is put the store, or any club, I don't want it to seem like I'm attacking the store, put the store on such a pedestal that once you climb that mountain and you get past here, that's all you do.
You peak.
There are a lot of comics here that I don't see them on flyers for any other show.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. Well, I also wonder if it's a thing, too, where, like, I don't think this is a thing across the board because I do other spots.
Yeah.
But like, there's been some places where I go, hey, I'd love to do a spot, and people go, oh, you would? Oh, we'd love to have you. And I'm like, is it something about me personally, or is it being at the store that makes you think I wouldn't want to do a spot? Like, dude, I had a last straw on one of these, like an all-female comedy group in 2018 where someone took a picture. I don't even remember who it was. Thank God, because I don't want to hold a grudge, but I still remember the moment. Somebody took a picture of the patio during potluck signups, and they said, guess how many women are here? Trick question. And first of all, there was one woman in the photo. Second of all, I assume the person taking the photo was a woman. And then third of all, which I put in the comments, is like, sorry, do you think the most famous comedy club in the world is coming to find you? It's not the comedy club's fault you're not there for the open mic. What the fuck is wrong with all of you? Because by the time I saw it, there was like 75 comments like, they hate women. And I'm like, I'm sick of people just discounting me being a woman.
That was the
by
reputation
saying,
when I got here.
It's also like, they don't hate
It's not
women.
a safe place for women. No. They want funny women, one, but also they want women that want to be here. They don't want to invest in people that are going to talk shit about the store, not promote shows that they're on.
It's also like that. Yeah, there are plenty of people, women included, who love the store, who'd love to be here. Why would they pass someone who's like, fuck this club, unless they pass me?
And we were talking about that earlier. Twitter is going to be the downfall of so many people trying to get into the store.
I mean, social media in general, people don't think about how bad they fuck themselves when they, your subtweet that a bunch of other comics who don't do the store like went off and you feel really cool around the comedian who runs a show in a bowling alley on the east side. That's great. But like, the booker saw it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people who have like said things in the comments about another comic on random Facebook posts, and then the manager of that comic manages someone else who works with the person leaving the comment, and they're like, well, I'm not gonna move forward on that specific project of yours because I'm not helping that person. Like, that's a real thing that I've seen happen. Obviously, like, I'm going on the road and I'm finally at a place where I can really be like, hey, I want to bring this person and like request my own features.
Doesn't that feel good?
It feels so great because it's my, like, you know, I'm still, in terms of mainstream, I'm still like up and coming for all intents and purposes. Like, you know, comedy nerds know me, but I'm not in the mainstream. So like getting to that level is great because I'm like, oh, now here's my little corner of the world where I can help out my friends who like are working really hard, that like want to do more like long sets, maybe want to do the road eventually. And I want funny people because there's a thing.
Yeah.
There's always rumors of people being like, "Oh, I heard this person takes easy," which is also unfair. Maybe they don't think that person is easy to follow, but there's that idea that people want like an easy to follow, and sometimes there are. I've heard stories from people getting fired or getting like slowly asked to do it less because
I'm not shocked.
Because they're like too much. Oh, that's just too much energy. It's never I can't follow you.
Yeah.
Which, and it's been interesting coming up in comedy where like, a lot of my spots and stuff, it was like, I got past the store and was like trying to go on the road with bigger comics and, comics who have an audience and they're confident that they have an audience don't give a fuck what you do because they know, especially, and I think it also comes with time and having done it a while. But it's like once you know you have your audience, it doesn't matter who's in front of you. They're gonna love them or hate them or whatever, and they're gonna be excited to see you. And that's what I think people forget and get afraid that like they're gonna like my person more than me. It's like no, not if they're like hardcore fans. They're gonna be so fucking stoked.
That's sort of how you have to
think about it. And also, I want the person in front of me to make it as hard as possible for me.
Yeah.
Because I want to be the best comedian I can be.
You also need the club to say, oh yeah, she should be in that headlining position.
Yeah. Like, it needs to be clear.
And nothing against Chris Rock, but I spoke to a lot of people that went to the Chris Rock shows and said the best person on those shows was Rick Ingram.
Yeah.
He was the only white comic. He was up there doing the crowd work. They had the cameras on him. And that's something that must make Rick feel great. But if Chris heard that, he probably would have fired Rick the next day.
I mean, it doesn't shock me just based on the fact that he's the comedian that everyone here, he's the main comedian I hear people go, I hate following Rick. And I'll tell you what, it's a challenge. I don't mind it at all. I think I almost absorbed that at first. Like, it's going to be hard to follow. And it is, you have to reset the room.
Yeah.
But I'm like, all right, well, give me that spot if you're a fucking pussy. I think Rick should be the bar. I think they should make every showcase go after Rick Ingram.
Yeah, well, that's what they did last year. Emily did that last year.
I think that was my showcase that I got passed on too. Not last year, but I think he also did it. And he's like, I don't know who the fuck these people are. All right, bye. They put him up
after Marin for the latest rounds, but last year they all had to go follow Rick.
Well, I think it's like, if you can't crush after Rick Ingram, you're not ready. Like, which is crazy, but...
All right, last question, and I ask this to almost everybody. If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
My body.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I hate my body. Internally as well, not just...
you are a pretty awful person.
General female hatred of self. No, I mean like... that's a shitty thing to say. I wish it was something besides my body. But like, honestly,
no, that's
I love my brain.
That's my number two. My number two is my body.
Wait, what's your number one?
My number one is that I wish I cared less about what people thought.
Oh, really?
About me, yeah.
Why do you care so much?
I think...
You do? I'm just kidding.
I think it had to do with like just growing up. And,
wanting to be cool.
Yeah, being bullied, and then you hit high school and like you were talking about, or Sarah was talking about doing like a high school play. I chose football instead of doing this musical thing that you could do, like where you could write and create a musical that you perform.
What?
I chose football. I like playing football. Don't get me wrong.
But you would have liked to do that.
I wanted to be at the cool table, not the drama nerd
dork table.
Yeah, I didn't want to go back down that lane. So now I want people to like me for some. It's a weird fucking thing that I wish I could get out of my brain.
I mean, I don't think it's unique to anyone who works in comedy.
Yeah.
I think I don't know what happened.
I'm dripping. This was a terrible idea. It's hot.
Yeah, I hate you for this.
I can't even imagine how.
Remember how you said you want people to like you? Well, you fucked up.
Yeah, I fucked up. We're gonna.
I don't ever want to talk to you
cancel the rest of the season. This is bad. We'll come back in the winter.
Fuck. I mean, yeah, that's relatable. I mean,
yeah, I
wish I was a little bit less of a people pleaser, and I'm actively working on it because I am too concerned with everyone else's emotional state. So I definitely relate to that, where it's like I want everyone to is everyone having a good time, or no one's mad, no one's like I can keep the peace. I'm very much like, oh, your parents fought, that's what's happening. But yeah, maybe that's what I'd get rid of.
We are out of time. Let's see. I am very impressed. I want to see where you're at.
I almost have Dobby.
That is very impressive. That is the furthest anybody has gotten so far.
So what you're saying is YouTube is not inaccurately trying to diagnose me with autism.
It's very possible they are. This is a very autistic thing.
Dobby has autism, sir.
Yeah,
Wow.
you got pretty close. You got the full body and most of the head. I've been just coloring inside the tongue.
This is great.
We're
I
getting there.
didn't look up once. I was very focused.
Right? Isn't it crazy?
This is wild.
It looks very rude. We're talking and not looking at each other.
I know. We didn't make eye contact once.
So-
I'm like, no, here's more things about what I've done. Oh my God, I am autistic.
Sometimes I'm looking up at the person and they're looking at me while they're talking. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm not meaning to be rude. I'm just building.
I'm just in the zone.
Yeah. So
that looks
This
great.
is going to go on a wall.
So do you keep all of these and you're
No,
putting them on your
that's
shelf?
yours.
This is mine?
Those are yours.
I get my own
I keep
Dobby?
the ones I build. You get to keep yours.
Oh my God, I'm going to finish this.
Jessica Michelle Singleton, JMS. We didn't get to cover kickball.
Oh, well, I'll have to come back.
We'll come back.
Or we'll have to have a
after-
reality series about our kickball team.
Yeah, if we don't play. Honestly, I've thought about it. Now that they want
We'll have to have
unscripted.
kickball shows that then remember in the Flintstones and the Jetsons, they,
The crossovers.
do
Yeah.
kickball crossover shows?
Oh my God. Like the reality show for kickball would be perfect. They're looking for unscripted stuff.
I mean,
And our
honestly,
team is
our team is a
chaos.
bunch of nut
It's
jobs.
chaos.
Yeah.
Where can they find you?
You can find me at JMS Comedy on all the social medias. JMScomedy.com if you want to come to a live show. I have a podcast called Slobs and a podcast called FFS.
And you can follow me at Say It Ain't Sosis. You can follow Building Friendship Series on Instagram. We just did VidCon. Smash that subscribe button.
Yeah, mash it, smush it.
Smush it.
What was the other one we said?
Smash it. Crush it. Hit that.
There was a fucking gross one, but I can't even remember. Just
Mush it.
maybe it was a smush.
Smush it.
Smush that subscribe
Smush.
button.
That's disgusting.
Build a friendship here on John's YouTube page.
We'll see you next time.